Else for tea. Okay, also, if you're looking for someone to tell you how to write poetry, I can't tell you that either. I told you I didn't know anything. I have no clue what your writing habits are or what your writing styles are. I know someone who has to wait for his muse to strike before he can write. If I waited on a muse, I'd never get anything written. You know who I'm talking about, Dean. Last year he wrote 3 poems. I wrote at least 50, but even that's a small number compared to what some people write. And it's not a matter of a right way or a wrong way to write poetry. You just have to know what your way is. I know how I write my poetry, but I'm not even consistent in how I do that. Where do my ideas come from? Well, we're writers. Where do your ideas come from? Sometimes the ideas just pop into my mind. Some contests have specific categories for specific subjects. Sometimes I just spontaneously get something on paper. Other times I kind of know what I want to say, but I don't know quite how I want to say it, so I have to work with it for a while. I have learned that I can write a poem about pretty much anything. It might not be a good poem, but I can write it. And I can write pretty much anywhere, anytime, because I know how to focus. And I guess there are some young people in here. I'm not one of them. But for the younger people especially, well, not especially them, just for anybody, you need to know that it's hard to be creative when you always have somebody else's words playing in your ears and filling your mind. If you have the TV going, if you have iPods going, if you have the computer going, if you have the radio going, everything that's pounding in at you, all this noise, if you have all of that playing in your head, you can't hear what you're thinking. You need to listen to the silence. You need to turn off the input. And if you don't do that, you still need to learn how to focus. But if you let the silence fill you, you're going to learn that there really isn't any silence, because what you're going to start hearing will be your own ideas and your own words. And that's what you need to focus in on. I can shut out the noise coming at me from just about anything because I have learned to focus. I've learned to hear what my mind is telling me. It's all those little voices that I keep hearing. Yeah, okay, I'll do that. I can be sitting at the computer, and my husband can have the TV on or the radio on. He can be talking to the dog, or he can be talking to me, and I'll be so focused on what I'm doing that when I finally realize he's talking to me, I'll think, oh, you'll have to start again. I'm sorry, what? I can tune everything out and just hear what I'm saying, because, I mean, after all, who else would be saying anything as interesting as what I'm saying? Why would I want to listen to anybody else? Okay, you should also know, and I think you do know, that it's okay to fall in love with something you've written. But you also have to learn to give it up if it's not working with the rest of the poem or the rest of your story, whatever it is. For example, when I tried writing a gloss poem for the first time, that's G-L-O-S-S, and that was a lot of fun. But when I tried to write it for the first time, it actually, just very briefly, a gloss poem uses 4 lines from somebody else's poem, and you use each one of those lines as the beginning of the next one of your verses in your own poem. So you work with that. But when I tried writing this gloss, I really loved my first verse because it started out with Socrates getting drunk while driving in a maze on an elephant, which wound up not working, but the silly reference to an elephant helped to free me to be silly with the rest of the poem, which is what I needed. So even though I couldn't use Elephant with this poem, I am keeping it, the idea, because I might be able to use it in a children's poem or somewhere else. And then there are poems that I've written that really aren't working the way they are, but I've discovered that by reworking them within a specific form, they can help the poem to take shape or take off in a completely unthought of direction. Most often the poem will work better in a specific form rather than something like free verse, because the stricter the form, the more you have to focus your thoughts and really think about what you're trying to say. You can't just skim the surface of whatever the thought is, even if it's